Hey everybody, and happy Sunday. Welcome to Call the AD, the show where the A stands for Arthur and the D stands for Dan. Show we do weekly on Sundays, live on Instagram, and available later on Scottish Watches Live channel on YouTube. So today we are going to be talking about quartz watches, the loves, the hates, and doing a challenge of 3 quartz watches, a dress, an everyday, and an all-around, and a sport for 15,000 British pounds, which is, let's get some pretty heavy hitters for quartz, right?
I didn't come anywhere near to my budget at all whatsoever. I have plenty left over, but we'll get into that in a moment. First of all, wrist
You might
check.
need donate it to me because I had one watch.
That's normally what happens. Whenever we have a challenge, I always have stuff left over and give it to you because I'm kind and I'm nice like that.
Oh man, we are. And I just give you crap in return. So there you go.
Of course, as long with everyone else. But you know, that's what's normally happened.
That's right. It's a Sunday.
It is. So I hope you're keeping with today's theme, but I don't think you will be, because I know what watches you've taken with you.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not at home this weekend. I'm visiting my parents, so I don't have everything with me. But I've gone partway on the quartz theme, and I'm wearing my Grand Seiko Spring Season U.S. Edition, or U.S. market restricted watch, whatever you call it.
So we'll allow that, shall we?
Oh yeah, there is a quartz crystal in there, I think. So
yeah, Granny's ceiling watch. We'll call that one.
Yeah,
shall we?
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
I love it.
I see Karan's joined. He's joined on his different account. It's Complicated KH. Well, he is a complicated man, isn't he? So I suppose that's true in his description. Or maybe a very mysterious man. As we saw from the last show, if you were here, that very lovely picture of Karan, that's kind of sort of very mysterious.
The blue
pose.
steel.
That's it.
Future Bollywood superstar, right?
Exactly. So today I'm wearing the Fears Redcliffe Streamline, and I'll put it up there because it's easier to see. You can see my umbrella light in the background, look.
Oh,
very professional.
fancy.
There you go. So, yeah, really cool. Been wearing it, wore it yesterday as well, and really been enjoying it. The dial is beautiful. It's got a gold grain
light. Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah, it is lovely. So, yeah, cool.
Instablane's just described Spring Drive as quartz curious. It's kind of in the family. But I will say, for the purposes of today's discussion, I said, let's set Spring Drive aside. It's kind of its own hybrid. Let's talk true quartz.
Maybe we could do a Spring Drive show.
Yeah,
that would be quite cool.
Yeah,
because I know sod all about it, really.
I'll have to brush up on the technical side.
And most things as well, to be honest with you. So Waxing Titans just commented. He said, "Nice choice, Dan. Better looking than the Navi." That's not very nice, is it?
He's just trolling you, I'm sure.
Of course he is. Hello, Max. How are you? Max says he loves the Fears. Yes, it's very, very cool.
Dan, I think we should do a Spring Drive show, but spring it on you, and you have to try to describe it with no technical background as to what's going on.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, that'd be interesting. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Maybe not next time, but we'll think about it.
And I'll have done the research, and then and then.
But that's normally the other way around, though, isn't it? Normally, I've done the research, and you're like, what?
Depends on the topic.
Yeah, cool.
So we've got a bit of news to talk about. Yeah. Do you want to start off on that?
I'm excited about this. So we've got a new Instagram page. So Arthur and I have decided that we're going to grow the channel in conjunction with Scottish Watches, because they've been very kind to us, kind of helping the show, promoting the show, which has been really great. We're also going to start transitioning the show over to YouTube eventually. I think what we're going to do is we're going to broadcast on Instagram and YouTube. The thing is with YouTube is we can feature other people, we can do interviews, we can flash across banners of questions that people have asked. So it's a much better platform for what we're doing. but we don't want to lose the ease of Instagram. So it's trying to get that happy medium.
Right.
So what would you like to say on it?
Yeah, I just think, first of all, go ahead and follow our new Instagram, which is callthea.d.
Yeah.
And then about the eventual move to YouTube, or we want to make it easy for everybody. The main core of our show is interacting with you guys, so having the
Definitely.
question and answer and focusing on one topic a week, diving a bit deeper. That's our style, so that'll stay the same. But we do want to have a way to bring other people on the show, to have viewers or people with much better technical knowledge than us come on the show and help us do a better job. So
Yeah.
I guess eventually it will be broadcast on the Scottish Watches Live channel on YouTube. So if you haven't already, go ahead and head over there and subscribe to them, because that's where Dan and I will be starting broadcasting from when we sort of start making that transition. But we'll stay in touch and let you know when that's coming.
Yeah.
So.
And for anyone that's not aware, I'm sure most of you are, but if you're not aware, these shows that we do currently do transition over to YouTube on the Scottish Watches Live channel. So if you want to watch, you can only catch half of this or a quarter of it or whatever, you can jump over to there and catch up on the rest of the show, leave comments, whatever, and that would be fantastic. But I think what Arthur and I would really like to do is to interview some people that have stayed with us and enjoyed the show, because we feel like you're as much as part of the show as what we are.
Right.
So
absolutely.
So yeah. Cool.
All right.
Have you got any other news? I've got a little bit of news, but I'll let you carry on first.
Let's see. Helping pick a engagement watch for a friend of mine. So she's talking to her boyfriend. They're planning to get engaged. She wants a big ass diamond. And he said, hold on a minute, let me get something in return. And so Stephanie and I have been having fun going back and forth with them, trying to help him find his preference in watches, something that's sort of like an all-rounder. And so far, he's leaning towards maybe a Grand Seiko Snowflake. So we'll see. That's been
cool.
fun. Yeah.
That's really cool. I have actually been invited to an Omega and a Breitling event. Event happening next week and the Breitling event the week after. But for those of you in the UK that know, London has now moved into Tier 2 and there's further restrictions due to COVID. So I don't think, I'm 99.9% certain that won't be happening, which is a shame, because I know that there is some more news from Breitling coming along. But what I've just noticed, I've just mentioned that, I've just noticed something. I've just noticed Watch Medicine, he's joined. As long as it's not a Breitling, should be good. See? Breitling trolling already.
Don't worry, I'm steering them on the right track. So there we go.
Apparently, according to Coos, I'm mansplaining, apparently.
About Breitling?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Does that imply that I'm a woman?
Maybe.
Not sure how I feel about that implication.
No. So it's a shame. Like, when you just think these events are just starting to come back, they're not. And as we all know, I don't think we're over COVID for some time. I hope sooner.
Unfortunately.
I know that a company called AstraZeneca, are developing a vaccine in Oxford. My sister's actually got something to do with that, which is quite interesting. But who knows? Who knows? I know they're producing it, and a vaccine that can take, I don't know, what is it, like 16, 17 years or whatever, years to produce and to certify.
Right.
They're pushing through really quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Let's hope for it sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Also, one other thing as well, Scottish Watches are drafting anyone that is willing who wants to do a review on their watch. So if anyone feels passionate about their collection, you could do all your watches, you could do one of your watches, just do a short 5-10 minute unboxing review on your watch and forward it on to Scottish Watches. And eventually, when they get their rear ends in gear, because they take their time, then I'm sure that they will post it. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure Rick will give me some stick for that.
I've done one on the Longines Avigation Big Eye that should be going up. And I saw it doesn't have to be professional at all. I shot it with my phone in one take. I know another video is coming where instead of a box, they've used a grocery bag to unveil the watch. So yeah, just have fun with it.
And also, if you do see that video, you will be very pleased with the brand that it's unveiling. I will just that's all I will say.
Should have been a garbage bag.
But I've prepped my review, and it's really difficult. I find it very difficult to do that. I find this a lot easier, and that a lot harder, because you kind of got to script it, haven't you?
Right.
And I thought your video, because I've seen your video already, and I think it's really good.
Oh, thanks.
So, but yeah, cool.
So, shall we go into quartz?
Let's do it.
It's a bit of a minefield, right? I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
First of all, I guess, especially getting into watches more heavily at the beginning of collecting, I think a lot of people are turned off of quartz because those are, in some ways, the mass market watches, right? I mean, at first association, right? That's certainly how I was. How did you feel about it, as you started to get more into watches?
So it was very much that. It was also like quartz was a bit of a dirty word. It's quartz, what are you on about, quartz? And it was kind of looked down on a little bit, and it's like no real enthusiast would be into quartz watches, which now I know is completely not true. And there are some pretty mega quartz watches out there.
Yeah.
They have their like own whole separate sort of collecting field, really, don't they? Yeah.
I'd say so. And I feel like a lot of people get into watches, say, no quartz, I'm done with that, except for maybe, they have their place certainly in usable, durable watches, like a G-Shock or something, right? I feel like a lot of collectors have their G-Shock or whatever, then they write off quartz altogether. But I feel like there's a certain stage where some people come back around to it, particularly in regards to getting into sort of high accuracy quartz, if you're sort of like a movement nerd, right?
See, watch Medicine, he just doesn't quit. He does not quit. I associate the dirty quartz with Breitling. What a horrid man.
He's probably talking about the aerospace, right? And I wonder if that will come up in our challenge.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I think you'll be surprised at my challenge. I'll leave it at that. So I think quartz, with the nature of how it is and how it's constructed, it's a really good application for dress watches because you can make it so small and so thin. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it does have its place there. And I'm not trying to stereotype by gender here, but a lot of times women with smaller wrists, the watches themselves are smaller and need to be a bit thinner to look right proportionally. And so there's certainly a lot of appeal of quartz in that case. I mean, if you look at some of the smaller Cartier tanks, for example, like I know Stephanie has one that's quartz, and I think Freya's is as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. So initially, when Freya started looking at the Cartiers, it was almost a little bit dirty that we were looking at quartz because originally they were hand wound. They were hand wound originally.
Yeah.
So we wanted hand wound, but as you know, vintage is a whole separate thing. Right. And we, at that particular time when we were looking in Burlington Arcade. We were looking at is it Slow Mo, which is the vintage accredited Omega store, and they had Cartier manual 1950s Cartier tanks in there, and they were just ridiculous prices. And then when you kind of get into the hobby a little bit more, because Freya was thinking about a Cartier tank for quite a long time. When you get into the hobby a little bit more, when you realise that, Freya magnetised her Longines so badly from sitting by a computer every day, it has its massive practical advantages to it.
Yeah.
You do realise. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
It's always set. It's always ready to go, and especially for people who don't necessarily enjoy the ritual or enjoy the worry about long-term maintenance or whatever,
Yeah.
I totally get the appeal. And actually, Maya Patel in the comments here has mentioned the Cartier Santos Dumont. I think she got one recently. They make
Oh,
some of those
cool.
in quartz as well, and it's a really,
Yeah.
I mean, that Cartier in particular, I think does some really nice quartz watches. And
Yeah.
then I'd be remiss to not mention a watch that I think was essentially disallowed by our price point. But on the very high end, you actually have the FP Journe Elegante, which is a quartz FP Journe, quartz independent high end watch. And they've managed to make the movement beautiful through the sapphire case back and do some really, really interesting stuff. I don't know if you've seen how it
So,
works.
so I very briefly, Mr. No Date mentioned this quite a long time ago, saying how much he likes and how much he would like one. And he was saying that the dial has got like a little tiny window at the bottom, and you can see, is it like some sort of rotor or something, or
Yeah,
some sort of, yeah, what is it?
it's a super small micro rotor, and
Yeah.
the watch detects when it's no longer moving. Like if you set it down, that rotor will be stationary. And I think if it's stationary for longer than, I think it's 30 minutes, the watch goes into a standby mode and it still keeps the time in its brain, but it doesn't move the hands. And then the
Like
moment
a
you
power saving.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And the moment you pick up that watch, that little micro rotor moves and the hands swing back to the exact time, hour, minute, and second, which I thought was a really cool, creative way of doing that. So I've heard that in everyday use, it's meant to last like 8 to 10 years per battery
Oh,
because
wow.
of that. So pretty cool.
That that's amazing. Just before we continue, anyone has, I know we've mentioned this a few times. We'll keep mentioning it for anyone new that's joined. Um, Please, if you, I've just seen what he's put watch medicine. He's trolling again. Look, um, if anyone wants to ask any questions, we apologise if we miss it, but please can you ask it in the question mark below. Failing that, after this stream, we will do another short stream after this. It's got to be short today because Arthur and I are busy. We've got
So
things to carry on
important.
and do. So
So
important.
important.
But yeah, if you want to ask any questions or we miss it, just ask it in the question mark thing down below, and we'll get to it at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Also, I feel one because I know that we did notes on this. One thing I wanted to mention is I feel that quartz is at a price point where you can almost have just complete fun with the hobby. It's so
yeah.
cheap in comparison to. I mean, I know that there are expensive courses, but the variation that's available to you, the amount that you could. There's so much you can buy.
Like the Mr. Bean watch.
Like the Mr. Bean watch. I love it. What's people's problem with that watch? It's fantastic.
I'm wondering if that's going to show up in the 3 watches challenge today.
You have to see. You have to see.
Yeah, okay, we'll just have to wait.
Yeah.
Listy's asking if I'm presenting from my grandmother's bedroom today. I do have my grandmother's ceiling on my wrist, but this is my parents' house. We're down here for a visit.
So your mum's curtains are awesome.
they are what they are.
Yeah. So like going back to the options that are available at the price point, I feel like you could just have complete fun.
Right. And especially if you're looking for a dress watch, or maybe you want something in precious metal, but you're not so much into the movement necessarily, I think that quartz is a really good option. And then there's the accuracy side of things.
Yeah.
Even a cheap quartz movement is more accurate than at least a cheap mechanical movement. And it gets really fun when you get into the high accuracy quartz side of things, talking about like the Grand Seiko quartz movements, the high accuracy quartz in Breitlings, where they start doing things like temperature compensation. So you're talking on the order of seconds a year type accuracy instead
Yeah.
of per day, like on a mechanical. So
Yeah. You also get the I can't say it now, the magnetism thing where the watch is much more resistant to it. So like the Longines VHP, so I've been looking into that watch, and that is really, really cool. Some of the stuff that watch can do. So before there is a knock event or an event where it's exposed to high magnetism, it actually remembers the time before that event, and when that event is over, it resets it back to that time.
Wow.
So, which is really, really cool. And if you have the GMT version, you can set the time via the flash on your smartphone. So
That's crazy.
It flashes at the dial, and I think at the very top of the dial you've got I've got a picture of it here. Just get it up. Here we go. You can just see. I don't know if you can. At the top of the 12, you've got a little hole, which is a sensor, which senses the light from the camera, and then it sets the watch to whatever time you set it out on the phone, which I think is a fantastic idea.
So do you have to use a particular app that controls your flash?
Yeah, so it's a Longines app. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously it's as accurate, I think, to plus or minus 5 seconds. Is it a year?
I think so.
It's 5 seconds a year.
I think so. Pretty crazy.
And it's £1,000. Well, it's £1,090. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
It is. I guess at that point you're starting to get into like watch accuracy nerdery, right? And that's fun to some people and not fun to others. To me, it's fun, but I can see some people who, if they're more about sort of like the craftsmanship type thing of high-end watches, maybe the Elegante appeals to them, but maybe they just move. Maybe they don't touch quartz, but it's kind of different things appeal to different people, right?
And Kranz just said as well, I remember reading this, that the Longines is also a perpetual calendar as well.
That's right. Yeah,
so
yeah.
That, for the money, that's crazy. That really is crazy. I just wish the dial was, I don't know, it's not my cup of tea, the dial. I wish the design was slightly different. I think the crown guards, you mentioned this as well, the crown guards on it are quite bulky. They're quite bulky.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting choice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't love it design-wise, but as you said, I'm impressed with it technically.
Yeah, and I hope they do use that movement in other watches in the future, other watch designs. There is a Gold Coast 2018 Commonwealth Games edition, which I think is a lot nicer. It's kind of got like orange lume. It's not
okay.
It's not faux lume. It's like orange with blued hands for the lume, and I just think that's really cool. I like that.
That is cool. I bet that's probably not available in the US since it's Commonwealth Games, I guess, but it's probably never seen it. Watch Medicine thinks you've made a logical choice. Don't worry, he's not actually picked his 3 watches yet, so we'll see.
So again, as well, when we go to our challenge, we'd like people to vote. Although you haven't got your computer to aid you this time, have you?
No,
to keep track of the votes.
We'll do all 3 watches for each of us, and then just spam the comments and say that I won, and then we'll be good. So
yeah. So
you missed it there.
So I was actually. This is the problem. See, I'm reading comments as well as trying to listen to you, and it's really difficult.
I just got you to agree that everyone should spam that I won. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen anyway.
Okay, fair enough.
That is what's going to happen.
You are correct. Yeah.
So you mentioned to me, and I don't know much about this movement at all. I know Adrian did a video on it a while ago with his Seiko GMT.
Yeah.
It's the 9F movement.
Right.
That's ridiculously accurate, isn't it?
Yeah, so they've made like 2 or a couple different versions of it. I think even the regular 9F I think is around plus or minus 10 seconds a year, and the one that they made in that limited edition of the GMT with the 5-pointed star on the dial, I think the 5 points symbolize, I think it's within 5 seconds a year. There's a couple cool features of that movement: the temperature compensation. And then they have, to prevent like backlash, often you associate a quartz watch with kind of like a sloppy ticking motion where it overshoots and wobbles and, like on a clock in school or something. But it actually has like a stepper motor that does 2 clicks per second and manages to control so that second hand hits right on the marker, which for OCD people like me, I love it. So yeah.
That is really cool. That is really cool.
Grand Seiko does quartz well. So you may see that come up in a pick.
The blue dial version of that, because Adrian's was with the yellow kind of segment for the GMT at the bottom. They do another one, don't they? Was it blue with a red segment? I think it's red.
They do, and there's a black with sort of an orangey one too. And my friend John Houghton in the comments here, he has, I believe it's the black one.
You've tried that on, haven't you?
I have. It's 40 millimeter quartz sport GMT watch. It's really nice. I really like that one.
I tried one on a red bar, and I actually thought it was very wearable, even for a 40 mil. It was really good.
Yeah, it almost feels like I don't want to say it's too similar, but it's not too similar. But size-wise, it almost wears like a 40 millimeter Explorer 2, and I think it's different enough. Some people say, "Oh, look, the designs look similar," but no, I think it does its own thing.
Right, before we get on to our challenge, I want a word with someone that's just joined, Mr. No Date. Mr. No Date has bought a Speedy. He had it for about 0.5 of a second and then decided that he didn't like it. What a terrible boy. You are wrong.
Always on the show, we encourage people to have their own opinions on watches, but this is just wrong.
Yeah. So, there you go, Wax and Tarleton. See, look, he agrees with me. Mr. No Date, he says, you're a div.
What does that mean in British language?
He's a divvy. He's a divvy. He's a silly boy. Oh, look, he keeps it. 14 seconds it took him to decide as well.
Does that mean he's getting a Snoopy? What can you do in 14 seconds? Reject the normal Speedy Pro?
That's fair enough, but we're all different, aren't we? I mean,
yeah,
we're all different, and that's what this hobby's about. It's
some
just
of
variation
us
and difference.
Some of us are more wrong than others. That's fine.
Yeah. Mr. No Date, cough, cough, Mr. No Date. Cool. Shall we get into the challenge? I'm looking forward to this because I'm really looking forward to seeing what you picked, and I think we'll go for dress for the first option.
I like that.
Happy with that?
Yeah, because it's not often something we talk about here, and I think it's something that courts can be good at.
Before we sorry, Arthur, before we continue, have we had any questions at all?
Oh yeah, some couple snarky ones.
Okay.
Watch Medicine asks, is it true that the Mr. Bean watch keeps plus or minus 2 hours a day? Probably about right, yeah. Dan, do you know from your in-depth research?
At least it's more accurate than his Patek,
Yeah. And then we've got a second one from Timely Moments asking if we could do a themed show on military watches, which I think would be really cool.
So Timely Moments, a very nice gentleman called Dan. He runs his own podcast, the ZT podcast. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, I need to check him out. I haven't seen that one. Cool.
Which is really cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. And in fact, I think quite some time ago, we did feature some military watches on one of our shows.
Yeah.
We did, didn't we?
Certainly I think we did, yeah. But we might want to loop back to that.
Yeah.
So
cool.
So that's all we had on questions. To reiterate, the challenge is three quartz watches for 15,000 British pounds. One has to be a dress watch. One has to be sort of an everyday all-rounder. And one has to be a sport watch. So
I've not, just so you know, I've not kept track of my budget at all because I know I'm well under.
Okay. I think the Bean watch is coming.
No, do you know what? Right, I'm going to shock everyone now. No, it isn't. It's not in my pick.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I've actually been serious on my 3 picks. These are 3 watches I genuinely love and genuinely would have. Although I would have the Bean watch, but the Bean watch is harder to get than any Rolex. Karan knows that.
He says he can get me a Pepsi. I don't think he can get you a Bean watch, can he? It's too hard.
It's too difficult for him. Cool. Okay, I think you should go first.
Okay, so we'll start with dress watches.
Yeah.
So you heard me talk in the beginning a little bit about how I think quartz can be a really good option for this. I've picked one that's by modern standards a dress watch, but was originally a pilot's watch. There's my hint.
Right, before you show it to us as well. Question to everyone in here: how do you define a dress watch? What is your what do you think qualifies as a dress watch? So let's all prove arrested time that he is wrong, because he thinks it's time only and that's it, or maybe with a date. I think it's anything you can wear with formal attire. So let's see.
I can see where he's coming from. That
No, I
time
can't.
only. Well, hold on. Time only
Yeah.
traditionally, sure, but I think in
Yeah.
modern standards, a dress watch is often about simplicity. But there are dressy chronographs. There are chronographs I would call a dress watch, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So there you go. He's telling me I'm wrong. That's fair enough.
yeah.
But you're
People are starting to guess my pick here, so I guess let's go for it.
wrong. Okay. Yeah. Let's
I
go for it.
picked the Cartier Santos Dumont two-tone with the bezel. That was budget limited. I originally wanted to go for the full-on pink gold one, actually. But
I didn't expect you to pick that at all. I really like that. I
I
like
do
the blue
too.
hands.
I
on that.
do. Yeah,
I do like that.
I think it's really nice. It's got, it's one of Cartier's most historic models, along with the tank. Originally as a pilot's watch. Good grief. Cartier's website has so many pop-ups and crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my first pick. I picked the large size. There's 3 different sizes actually.
So
yeah.
in the is that only in quartz, or can you get it in automatic as well?
They also do automatic, and I believe they might even do. Hold on. I thought they even did a manual wind. I don't know if I'm seeing all the models here, but yeah, so the Santos Dumont, I believe, is their quartz model, and then they do the Santos de Cartier, which is the modern one that comes on the bracelet with more of the like screws on the bezel and all that. But that is automatic only, I believe. I'm probably getting this wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, they have the sort of 2 families of them. Yeah.
I love the crowns on those. It's got like the
I do
little
too.
jewel on the end. It is
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
They call
and I have
that-
to say it's cool because Freya's probably watching. She says if I say it's not cool, she'll tell me off. No, I do like it. I do like it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not really that into dress watches, but given the opportunity to pick one, that one really caught my eye, and I do like it a lot.
Wax and Tartan's just come up with a really, really good point. And I know
Ooh.
this applies to I know he doesn't, he doesn't come up with a good point very often, but he has now. And he says, does a quartz watch really matter if there isn't a second hand? Interesting. So that Freya's Cartier tank has no second hand.
Right. Same
So
as
you would-
Stephanie's.
Yeah, you don't know any different.
And
So-
interestingly, looking at these Cartiers, the Santos range, they have no second hand on the quartz models, and they have a second hand on the automatic models. It's like they want to emphasize the automaticness of the mechanical watch and de-emphasize the quartzness of the quartz watch, right?
But I do actually genuinely think there's something quite elegant about there being no second hand on a dress watch. I do think that's quite cool.
Oh, I wish you hadn't said on a dress watch, because I was about to bring up the fact that my Panerai has no second hand. I almost
But it's
had
a
you there.
Panerai. They do everything wrong, Arthur. Come on.
Incorrect.
Where would this
Incorrect.
Where would this show be if I didn't hate on Panerai for a little bit?
Oh, I just had to give you an opportunity.
So before I continue with mine, everyone, could you please give an Arthur a score out of 10? And we'll average it, shall we, Arthur? We'll just average it.
Sure. We don't have computers around, so we're just going to try to remember and average things.
So I'm thinking Arthur here is going to get a 10.
What do people think of my Santos Dumont pick? Let's see.
What would I give you? I would give you, I think, for that pick, I'd give you an 8 because I
Okay.
do think that's a good choice. See,
We've
John
got-
said 8.
Yeah, we've got a
Wax and
mix
Tartans,
here.
he says 6.
We've got a 7
Okay.
from Playwatch, 5 from Koos. Sam's with me. 7's pretty strong. John, 8. Karan, 6. Listy, 4. DC Watches, 7. Swiss Made Obsession, my man, and my lady, 9.
Do you know, I have a really bad feeling about mine. I just think,
Uh-oh.
yeah. Okay.
So you're
So
your
what
dress
are we going to
pick.
say? What are we going to say for
Mm,
you? I reckon. Should we say 7 or 8?
yeah, maybe 7.5, something
Yeah.
like that. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So my pick is. I don't think you would have guessed this. Um, my sister's partner has this watch, but he has the automatic version, and I've always loved it. I've loved it a lot more than the chronograph, and it's the Tag Heuer Monaco quartz.
Oh, interesting. And
I,
I
I
will say, I think you are pushing the boundaries of dress watch a little bit here.
I knew you was gonna, I knew you was going to say that, and that's why I questioned you about this last night. But there is a brown version which I actually like more, but it's got diamonds on it. So if they got rid of the diamonds, I don't know if you could
I
see
think,
that there.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I,
If it didn't
that,
have the diamonds on, I would go for the brown because I think that's
yeah.
amazing.
Well,
Um,
I think the one you've picked, it's black. It is time only, to Sahaj's point,
yeah,
right? Oh, that's
yeah,
cool how it sets the time.
yeah,
Um, oh, it does have a date, but yeah, it's and on that black strap, it does actually look quite dressy in a strange way. So we've
yeah.
both gone for
So
square.
exactly. So Listy, he said that he doesn't. I think I read in one of his comments. He said that he doesn't conform to rules. So that's how I'm going.
Okay, fair enough. I, now let's ask for a vote here. Remember that this is a dress watch, and now give Dan a score.
Yeah, but it was going along. It is kind of, I went with the kind of idea that the Monaco chronograph, that is your full out and out sports watch, and this would
That's
be the
true.
more kind of dressy choice. I just really I've always liked them. If I was going to buy one, though, I'd buy an automatic, because I prefer
Sure.
the automatic. Oh wow, this just given me a 10. Karan's
There was a
given me a 9. Playwatch has
don't
given me a 9. Wax and
what
Tartans has given me a 13.
Watch Medicine gave you a 1 though. Don't forget to read out the low scores.
Sam gives me a low score. Oh, come on, Sam. You normally give me a high score. You normally want me to win. Okay, so
Oh, we've got quite
Swiss
a
major
mix.
session 5. Cringe
5.
begin. Yeah, he doesn't like that. So
Scottish Watch has just joined and he gives you a 1. It's probably Rick, I'm guessing. Maybe Ricky. We'll see.
yeah.
So we've got kind of a spread. I don't know. What do you think is? Then they asked, "What are we voting on?" We're voting on Dan's pick of Quartz dress watch, and he went for a 3-hander black dial Monaco. Interesting choice.
And that's £1,700.
Okay. Oh, I should have said mine. I think mine was around 5,000 pounds, 7,000 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, cool. But that is kind of dressy, but it still sticks to the kind of stuff that I like.
I
It's
think I
it's
could
a
see you
little,
wearing that dressed up. Yeah,
yeah,
I get it.
yeah,
I get it. So what
cool.
do we want to say that score was on
10,
average?
10.
I don't think that's fair. I saw 1 and a 2 in there.
Oh, I don't know. Shall we say a 7, a 6, or a
Sure,
7?
sure, somewhere in there. That's fine. This is very scientific today.
Have you written your score down?
I've got
Is
it in my
yours
head. 7.5.
7.5? Yeah, it's not a lot to remember, is it really? But I'll forget. Cool. Do you want to go for your next pick? So the next pick
Sure.
is sporty.
Oh, right. Okay.
So how are we
I
defining? Just how are you defining sporty? Because I'm
so
defining sporty as something you can wear in the gym, something you could wear when you're out hiking, playing sport, whatever you do. Play polo is what Rick loves to do. Play hockey, play
I
volleyball, whatever.
and maybe I should have defined it more as that, but I looked at it more as having functions that are beyond what you'd need every day or in a dress
Okay,
watch. So,
okay.
you know, and
I'm
particularly
hoping.
functional bezels, I tend to think of for sports watch. But
I'm hoping we haven't picked anything the same here because we haven't checked that.
no, I haven't. This is where I'm very worried actually, because I think it's quite likely that we have picked the same thing, if I know
Oh
you well
dear.
enough.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe
but
I
I'm
should
going.
go first.
No, I'm going first.
Go on, go on, go on then. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, that's
So,
what I picked.
yeah, I figured it probably was, but I really do think it's one of the coolest court sports watches out there. Um,
Yeah.
this is the Speedmaster X33 Skywalker. It's basically the truly modern functional astronaut watch, um, with a whole bunch of really cool functions, such as a mission timer to basically time how long you've been on your astronaut mission, which would be very useful in my daily life.
I thought you were going to say something not politically correct then, which is what I've said before. I thought you were going to say midget timer.
No, I did not say that.
No, I know you didn't. It's what I thought you were going to say.
I wasn't referring to you.
A dwarf timer. That's what you're referring to. I can't believe you've picked that watch. Mr. No Day, our budget is 15,000. I just saw his
Yeah.
comment. He didn't know what our budget was. So
And in
if you
pounds,
came
yeah.
in at the beginning of the show, we wouldn't have to repeat ourselves. But no, you're the awkward one.
Well, here's the thing, Dan. I didn't know if you'd pick it because it is 45 millimeters, the X33. So,
Yeah,
what do you
I've
feel
tried
about that? Yeah.
I've tried it on. The lug to lug it's not bad. I think it's 49, which
Okay.
is pretty much the same as the Speedmaster Professional. It's perfect. And because it's fully titanium, it's so light. I absolutely love that watch and I will be buying one day. And I do think now, it's funny actually how I think in the past that the price of that watch is stayed relatively the same. I know it's gone up with the price rises over time, which they all do, all these companies do. But everything seems to have gone up, but that has stayed the same. So now to me, that seems a bit more of a bargain for what it is compared to
Yeah.
what it was a few years ago.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I just think it's so cool, like how technical looking it is. It's got 4 pushers, right?
Yeah.
That
And it's got like a million alarms on it that you would never use.
right.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Here's the list of features: alarm, bidirectional rotating bezel, chronograph, date, multifunction, which is rolling up everything into one, perpetual calendar. I'm actually surprised it's not more water resistant. I mean, I guess it's not really, that's not the idea, right? But it's listed as
Yeah.
30 meters, isn't that less than a freaking Speedy Pro?
That's rubbish.
What the?
That's not great, is it? That's not good.
No.
I mean,
It
Wax and Tartans, he will not be happy at all.
No.
Because he apparently likes to wear his watches in the shower. We don't want to know any more than that. But
What
that's
you
his
do with them in the shower? No. Please no.
exactly right. I have got an alternative. See, I've been quick here. Let me get it up on the website.
There's a watch that I thought you would go for instead, which is one reason that I picked the X33.
Okay. And let me guess, it was a Breitling.
Yes, I was thinking aerospace. Maybe one of the older ones. I mean, I guess we're going new, but yeah.
So, yes, the only I like all aerospaces, I do, but the only one I would actually buy, and this is not going to be in my choices, by the way. The only one I would buy is the very, very early aerospaces from the 80s, because they started them in 85. And the very early ones had actually Navitimer on the dial. They didn't have aerospace. And
Okay.
I think as time has gone on and these watches have been serviced, their dials have been changed to aerospace. So there's a lot less of them around which say Navitimer on, which I just think is really, really cool.
Yeah, you'd have to have the special one then.
Yeah, of course I would. But they're a little bit more of a vintage watch. They're a little bit more delicate. They're not as well built. So I don't know whether it would be something that I'd want to use every single day because it's an older watch.
Right.
I mean, it's a quartz. The timing, the accuracy is still going to be pretty good. They're not thermocompensated, so they're still going to be good, aren't they? They're still a quartz.
Yeah, right.
I think there's 7 dual movements, so which is strange, isn't it? Having jewels in a quartz.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I guess
the
you
idea,
still need points of rotation for gear wheels and gears and things, but
of course, so you can actually service the parts that would wear. So I guess that just shows
That's-
that.
that brings up a very related
Sorry.
question, actually.
Yeah.
Koos was saying earlier, do you feel quartz watches are as serviceable in the long run, apart from GS? So it sounds like you've got some information there on at least that Breitling.
Yeah, so you're kind of nicking my spill for another time, but it's all right. I can get
Sorry,
into it
sorry.
that's okay for the Scottish Watches show that we'll do at some point. But no, I was reading why would you put jewels into a quartz movement, and it is because of obviously it's like cars now, where it's a good analogy, I suppose. It's like cars where lots of things are a sealed unit now, and if something breaks within that unit, that whole unit has to be chucked away.
Right.
So the more expensive something is, maybe the more bespoke it is, and the more that because of the cost of it, it has to be broken down, and it can be serviced in these modular parts, and so then it lasts longer. So I think that, I mean, I know people on here will probably know a lot more than me, which isn't a surprise. But the way I see it is the more you spend on these quartz movements, the more serviceable they are, the longer they last.
And it is
As
probably
regards
cheaper. Oh, sorry. I was just
Sorry.
going to say, it is probably cheaper for the manufacturer to just make a sealed unit that's pretty cheap. But if they have to fix it, they just toss the old one out. As you go to the sort of higher end stuff, as you said, they're more likely to make it more serviceable and put that thought into it.
Yeah, and I think reading about the aerospace, those movements they use in the aerospace, ETA 933, I think it is, they're so cheap now that they do throw them away and just put a new movement in. So, but maybe the technology at the time was, it was new, it was expensive, so they did make them that sort of serviceable,
Right.
because of
Right.
that reason.
Interesting.
So that is quite interesting. So yeah, cool.
So what is your alternative pick then? If you don't want the X33 like me.
Okay, my alternative pick. Now, this is something that I saw fairly recently. I haven't actually seen one before ever in the flesh, and I finally saw one. It literally just came into my head as I was thinking about it as an alternative. That's how good I am. It's an Omega. It shares a Flightmaster case, so you will hate it. Anyone that knows what a Flightmaster is, it is so cool. Coolest thing ever. It's a cushion case, and it is, and I bet everyone's going to hate this, a Z33.
It looks like something out of like a robot out of a 1960s sci-fi show, honestly.
It does, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
it is really, really cool. It's different. It's different.
It is definitely different. It is.
It's got the Flightmaster case, which I absolutely love, and I love Flightmasters. I wonder how Swiss Made Obsession thinks about this watch, because I know he likes. Well, he tells me he likes Flightmasters. He told me he likes Breitling, and then on a drunken rant the other day, he said, "What are you talking about? I bloody hate Breitling. They're rubbish."
I'm laughing
think
about Sam's comment here. She says, "Dan, are you trying to lose?"
Well, Sam, I had a limited time to originally my pick was what Arthur picked, the X33, but he stole it.
Why
So
don't we
I
call
had to
that
go
one a
for-
draw? But it just happened that I went first, so why don't we call that one a draw?
See, Dave, look, Dave. Oh, good Lord. He basically said no. No, he doesn't like
Yeah.
that at all. So, Dan, but Rogers occasionally likes things. So yes, this people don't like this at all, do they?
I don't think they do, but I just happened to go first, so why don't we call this one a draw and just say,
Yeah.
okay, for our dress watches, I had a 7.5, you had a 7 or something, and go to the everyday.
Do you know what? Jason, you've just saved me. He's just saved me. So I saw a watch at Red Bar, called the A13A, I'm going to mess this up completely, but it's um, a guy that he's a pilot, and he builds the perfect legible pilot's watch, which is a quartz. I think it's a 60 seconds quartz. Let me just find it a minute. And it when you reset the quartz, reset the chronograph, it goes round and it bumps the minute hand back round again. It's really cool.
That sounds like it's really cool in motion.
It is. Is really cool. Let me see if I can find it. Do you want to go on to your next pick?
Yeah, sure.
And I will find it.
Our third category is everyday watch, sort of an all-rounder that can be dressed up or down. So as a reminder, my first pick for a dress watch was Cartier Santos Dumont two-tone on a strap. Second pick was the Speedmaster X33. And my third pick, God help me with the reference number here, as on all Grand Seikos, is this guy right here. This is actually a really dark blue. No, disagree. Perfect everyday watch, all rounder. This is the SBGP005. This is actually a really dark blue sunburst sort of brush dial. And I just love the simplicity. And this particular GS case is really cool with these like large polished facets, particularly in person. As usual on Grand Seiko's website, the product photography doesn't do the watch justice, but that's 3,000 US in quartz with the 9F movement and those big Zaratsu polished surfaces. So that's my call, and that rounds it out for me.
That is. I didn't really concentrate on any of that because I was trying to find. You might need to do that again. Yeah, great. I'm going to give you a 1.
You think Grand Seikos are boring in general, but that one is, the idea of it is it's just like perfect simplicity,
an everyday,
right? Yeah. So I'm
no
pleased with that.
So educate me. Zaratsu polishing. I know it's something that I've heard that takes years to master. What is it?
It's a polishing technique that Grand Seiko does that results in a really smooth mirror-like finish. Like you can actually see I can see my face in the facets of the bevels of this watch.
Yeah.
And I actually think it was not originally a Japanese technique. I think they bought some of the polishing machines from, it was either like Switzerland or Germany around after World War II. I'm probably getting this really wrong. And there are some special techniques involved. But yeah, I mean, a bit of it's marketing terms, but they do have amazing polished finishes on their watches. So however they do that, it turns out great. And as Ben says in the comments, it's shiny.
Shiny.
Yeah.
I'll just play this video. So this is the A13A watch, 790 euros. I think you'll like this, Arthur, because it's got like a Flieger look to it. And I'll play the video, and hopefully you'll be able to see the chronograph resetting. There you go.
Whoa,
can you see that?
That's cool.
I'll do it one more time. Here we go. There you go.
That is cool.
It's really cool, isn't it?
It's a bit of a gimmick, but it's cool.
It is. It is a bit of a gimmick, but it is cool. Right. So I know we're running out of time. We've got 4 minutes, haven't we? So,
yeah.
Whoa.
Oh no! What have you done?
Oh no. Hang on a minute. What's going on? What's going on? And I've lost all my tabs. Oh, here we go. No, here we go. Right. So my pick. I don't think you're going to get this. And Sam, I know, is going to give me a high score. It's the 1964 Dan Henry chronograph. Quartz.
You just like it because it says Dan in the name, don't you?
But it's got that top time look. I don't like the beads of rice
does.
bracelet. That can bugger off. I don't like those. Let's change the strap. Hang on. You can change it on here. There we go for a black strap.
It's a nice panda dial. It reminds me a lot of the Hamilton Intramatic, but I guess
Yeah.
it's at a more affordable price point in quartz.
Yeah, these are $260. They're 44 mil lug to lug, so it's a perfect size. Mecha quartz. Just really cool. Every day, no fuss for me. Love it. Got the top time kind of look to it. So, Sam, you better give me a high score.
So to round
So
up, why don't we
does
vote
everyone
on the
think?
overall? Yeah, let's.
Okay, yeah, overall, who wins? It's going to
So
be you, I know.
Santos Dumont, X33 Speedmaster, and Grand Seiko simple three-hander. And Dan, yours? You want to recap?
Yeah, so I've got the Tyco Monaco, the X33 or Z33, and the Dan Henry 1964 chronograph. So arrested time, of course, he's going to go Arthur. So we've got Watch Medicine, Dan, Listy, Dan.
Tells with
Tell.
me. No date,
Oh, dear.
thank you. Koos, thank you. That's 3 for me so far. Karan's
So
being
Karan,
sassy.
come on. He is, isn't he?
Watch
So,
Medicine, that's 4 for me.
Arthur wins. Yeah, Waxing Tartans.
Ben, thank you.
Apparently I ballsed it up with the Monaco. Karan picks me. Swiss Made of Session picks me. I think this is a draw.
Rokutal picks
Sam
me.
picks me.
Oh, I think I'm like, I think I
No,
got 7.
Hang on a minute. Arrested Time, you can't go Arthur times 33. You can only vote once.
That says X33, Dan. It's talking about the watch.
No, I know how his mind works. He's thinking Arthur times 33.
I think I got Tanoki's, I got PC Standard Time. Karan's gone with you. That's amazing. That's
Watch Medicine. Apparently I ended up in 3rd place. Somehow. Cool. Well, we're about to end, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we do need to wrap things up. That was actually a really fun one. I enjoyed that a lot.
See, Mrs. Sahaj, she votes for me. Mrs. Arrested Time, thank you very much. She is a Breitling woman at heart. I know she is.
Poor Sahaj.
Cool. So we shall shoot across to the impromptu chat, live chat, which we can only have a short one today. Thank you very much for joining. Any suggestions, anything at all, just message myself and Arthur. Thank you very much for sticking with us. It's really, really fun. And I won the competition. All celebrate me.
Debatable.
Go Dan.
I'm gonna say I won. And please go over and subscribe to the Scottish Watches live channel. Actually, this coming Friday at 4 p.m. UK time, 11 a.m. US time, we should be doing sort of like a round table. Everyone picks the best quartz watch and we vote on it. So come hear us over there and we'll carry on the quartz theme with the rest of the Scottish Watches crew. So
yeah, cool.
Thanks for joining as always. And also go follow us at calltheA.D on Instagram as well. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.